Yeah, so how's your day been? You said you went on a ride?
Yeah, it's a little bit of light there. Yeah, it was good. Went on a little ride. That was really fun. Went a new route I ain't been on before, and other than that, I ain't done much else today actually.
That's not bad.
But yeah, it's not too bad out there. Let's see, I'm getting the color balance right out here.
Yeah, so like right before I went into work today, they called me and be like, hey, so instead of coming into the building, you want to go to the square? I was like, sure. Because it's Labor Day and all that, and we actually have a booth out at the square.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and it was only going to be like one manager today over there because the other one's off. And they're like, hey, Brandon, you just want to uh they're like, hey Brandon, you want to go to the school and all that since it's like we probably won't need you like that much. So you just want to go to the square and all that and do that today? I was like, sure, I'm down.
that's cool. I saw that was your snap at the square, huh? Looking at all the knives.
Yeah, I want to buy one, but I was like, no, I shouldn't.
The all
One
those
of the,
knives you can get those same ones for cheap off of like
yeah,
AliExpress or
like the
something or
not the
whatever.
ones I did on my I posted, but the other ones, like the ones that look like they were handmade and all that, or like
Yeah.
the handle was handmade. They're like about 150 and all that, and I'm like, I wish,
You're like, I
I
don't know
wish.
about all that.
I was like, I wish I could be like, all right, here you go. But I was
Handmade
like,
handles, yeah, but you know how much they're marking those things up.
I don't know. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Whenever you go to a square, like whenever your local town or cities having like vendors and all that on the square and all that, you always know those things are always more. Even whenever you go to like a downtown or a square of any city or town, you always know you're gonna be paying for extra stuff.
Yeah.
Like even if it doesn't deserve it, part of the reason is because if you're going to a business that's located on the square or downtown, the rent's hella expensive.
Yeah, and well, and they're paying for a booth, so like that's not a crazy cost,
Yeah,
but
but so yeah.
yeah.
Are you ready to get down to it?
Yeah, what are we talking about today?
The Well, I think I mentioned this to you before, like but we didn't do it yet because we had a bunch of backlogs.
Yeah.
Uh, now that we're officially in a recession, I thought we can go over that and all that.
Oh, okay, yeah. We talked about that a minute ago, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. All right, so you guys, welcome back to for another episode of For the Long Haul Podcast. Of course, it's me, Brandon, alongside.
Wayne.
All
And
right, and like I just said
today.
before, we're gonna be talking about recession. Now,
Yeah.
I want to. The idea got started for me because from me and a buddy we met up for lunch and all that. Like just had a couple of beers, ate some food and all that. I just caught up because it's been a while since both of us have talked or anything, so we caught up and all that. And it was right. It was a couple of. I think it was a day or two before it was officially announced that we were in a recession. Because it was like, man, this recession sucks. I was like, technically, we're not in a recession yet. Because technically, depending on your government, but the way the U.S. technically then, uh, well, the way it's most commonly described as a recession is two consecutive quarters of the fiscal year as being negative.
Yeah. A fall.
Yeah. So, and it was actually 2 days after that, I think the Federal Reserves announced that, hey, we're entering, we had two consecutive negative GDPs for the fiscal year,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually weird. If I remember, okay, I can remember this. It's either the fiscal year isn't actually from January to December, or it's either that. I may be thinking of something else because I know it's either that or the president's like whenever presidents change,
Yeah.
technically the new ones fiscal plans or budget doesn't go in effect until until September of when they're elected, of when they go into
Yeah.
office. I mean,
So on here, the federal government's fiscal year runs from October 1st uh, one calendar year through September 30th of the
Okay,
next.
okay, that I wasn't okay. That I didn't know. So, but I think it's also like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember one of my professors talking about this, and we were all like, "Wait, really?" Was like, if I could be misremembering a little bit, but I think it's like once the new president's in, their physical plan, say the word
Fiscal.
plan doesn't go into action until until like September or October of when they're elected, or whenever they go into office. So they go into office end of January. They'll like they're still technically running off the former president's fiscal plan or budget until that September.
Yeah.
Then they'll goes into effect, which is interesting. I
Well,
didn't know that for a while.
and one
Makes
of the
sense,
other
but it's not
things.
something you would think of.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other things was I think I've seen this at some point where it was just like, well, we're not in a recession, and be like, actually, the dictionary says we are because it's a definition that we've made before we got here,
What's
and but they, like you're saying, they could have been, I guess, basing that off of hold on, the fiscal year of the government, which is just delaying saying, we're in a recession.
But it's also the thing is like each government, because I was looking a little bit into this before. Each government, and technically, I think like if I remember correctly, the exact definition of if you look it up in the dictionary doesn't give a start and then like a start like a time period.
Well, not for a fiscal year. A
Well,
fiscal
like
year is made by the company. Like,
no, but like I'm saying like in general, like it just says like hold on, let me look it up real fast.
well, a recession is two successive quarters, like 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. So that just means like a quarter is 4 months of a year. So that's half a year. So that's 6 months of negative GDP or
Let's see,
GDP decline.
because this is what the Webster's dictionary says as a recession. Uh, the period of reduced economic activity. So
Mm-hmm.
going by a textbook that like going by like the dictionary, like that doesn't give a time frame. You can be like, oh, we're in a recession because yesterday was bad. Yesterday we went negative. You know, but like most people tend to go by like quarters, like how long, like over like maybe like half a year, like how stuff has been.
Yeah.
So like and then like each government, like because each government technically has their own um either time period or qualifications for something to be in a recession,
Mm-hmm.
which I was looking up. I wasn't gonna look up every other countries because like I didn't have time for this. This is like a couple of minutes before we got on.
Yeah.
But hold on, let me shrink this so fast because I need to grab. And I was looking at this. I was looking at the most recent recessions we had. The only kind of exception that like which I have told this to many of people before, like many of our friends, whenever we talk about the economy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of further proves my point. As much as nobody wants to admit this, we are gonna have several recessions in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Now, to the
It's just an
severity,
economic cycle.
to the severity of the impacts, each of them are going to be different. Because okay, because like most of them, I've looked at this between the time periods between them beginning and ending, or like when the Federal Reserve or whatever was in charge of that in your country says it's ending, varies.
Mm-hmm.
The shortest one we've had was the COVID one.
Yeah, that was an incredible
which was in 2020. It was like from February to the April, and that lasted 2 months. But that was the worst one economic wise because that went down negative 19%.
That's crazy.
But like typically, it's been like within 10 years. The longest I've seen is about 10 years from like each recession.
Yeah, it's just you can estimate when average is like, oh, we should be due for another one. And when we were graduating from college, well, when I was graduating from college or whatever, like the professors were talking about like You know, kind of like when I was early, it was like sucks. You know, it's 2016, and you guys, when y'all graduate, like my economics professor specifically was saying, you're due for a recession, and you might be unlucky enough to have it as soon as you graduate or right after, which is not good.
Yeah, and hold on. So like, see, we had that one. Then we had the one of oops, I went just pulled the list away. Now the list I'm looking at is based off the data of what the Federal Reserve said. You know, so some people may be like, oh, it was a little bit shorter, or it was a bit longer than that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because like everybody has a loose interpretation of what a recession is and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like the last one was the what they called the Great Recession, which was started in December of 2007, ended in June of 2009.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, that was like with the whole like marking the whole financial crisis, the housing bubble, and all that stuff. So that lasted for like a year and 6 months. That one was
Yeah.
like negative 5.1 apparently. And then you have the early 2000s ones from March of 2001 to November. That was like 8 months, not that long.
You said negative 5.1%. That's what you're saying?
For the Great Recession, which was the housing crash.
Yeah, but is that in reference to where we are today, or is that at the
Uh,
time?
I think it was at the time of how like bad the economy got.
See, only 5% is hardly anything.
Hold on, let's
Like the
see.
COVID one, it was 19%.
Hold on. It says GDP uh, peak to throw or something like that. I don't know what that one means.
I don't know. I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, but it's actually what's interesting. So I haven't looked at the data on this yet, but let's see if I can find a thing real fast. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's see. So one of the things is the national result National Bureau of Economic Research defines a recession as a significant decline in the economic activity throughout across uh, actively spread across the economy, lasting more than 2 quarters, which is 6 months, more visibly in the real gross domestic product, real income, employment, industrial productivity, and wholesale retail sales.
Uh huh.
Oh my god, I cannot say that last part.
That was rough, man.
The the interesting thing is according to from I haven't like looked that much into it, but apparently what's interesting about this recession that we're technically in compared to the other ones is that despite us going down and all that, employment is pretty good,
Oh
surprisingly.
yeah, yeah. Like they were
Employment
talking.
is at some of the highest I think it's been, if I remember reading correctly. Like I've been skimming through it, I haven't like actually read it, but like we're not like oh, everybody's getting laid off and all that. Now hopefully that doesn't happen and all that, but as of right now, like we just keep on adding to the job market. We're not like declining from the job market.
Yeah, I mean, even that earlier on, whenever it was just like we were coming out of it, and it was just like almost like a year ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, the job market terrible. It's like, man, I was applying to a lot of things, and I was not getting any feedback or calls back or nothing. So maybe, well, I feel like how we were viewing it at the time was, yeah, the job markets have impacted, but yeah, it's just the level of workers, the service industry, like
Yeah.
retail and everything like that, and restaurants. Those kinds of workers were like in dire need. Those places still are in need of people.
Yeah.
Versus on some of the other jobs, more white collar type work, was still very competitive, and
Which is
so
it's interesting because you and me remember we remember the 2009. I mean the we remember the COVID recession because it happened like
yeah,
2 years ago. It's not that far. And
yeah,
then the one before that, the Great Recession, we remember that because we were kind of kids. We remember people having trouble finding jobs and all that,
yeah,
and people getting laid off and all that. And we remember hearing our parents talk about that, or M&S or TV even mentioning how like mentioning it, like sitcoms and all that, like how people were losing their jobs and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and
This
I
one,
don't remember much about it because my age it wasn't very
yeah, we were
impacted.
like probably like what, 10 or 11, 10 or 11 when it happened.
Yeah,
Well,
11,
if
something
we
like
if
that.
we
Yeah.
look at the TV shows and all that, they were like typically like they kind of like made it sometimes made into like the plot of an episode or two where like somebody lost a job because of how the economy was and all that.
Hmm.
This time it's more like it's we're still seeing like solvers and retailers like needing jobs, but at the most part, we're not like seeing massive layoffs or anything like that for the most part.
No, no. I mean, there's in some companies there's a little something
Yeah,
going on here and there
but
that
not
you
like
hear about, but it's honestly not like a thing right now,
yeah.
in my opinion, for
At
what
least
I'm
not from what
seeing.
I have seen. It's not really that much.
And I my feed is filled with those types of articles because I like see them and I like them. I click on them and it's smart. It knows all that stuff, so it
Yeah,
feeds more of those to me when they happen. And so, and I've just seen a little bit of stuff like that here and there, but in reality, it's like we're in this recession or whatever, but it doesn't really feel like it. I think the only way we're really feeling it is the inflation of
yeah,
things and prices of goods going up. And like gas, luckily, it's just come down, but like that
yeah.
going up a bunch. And we're really feeling this one, the
Our wallets.
cost of living in our wallets. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But also, like, you can also kind of contribute that to the fact that technically, part of this is still because of COVID, because like it hasn't been that long since that recession and all that. But you gotta remember, the second it ended, or we said, "Hey, the economy's back to good," that doesn't mean shipping, food production, etc., is back to normal.
Yeah.
Like they're still saying like global distribution of goods and all that, food product that still took a major hit, and that's still like getting back on track.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while for that to come back around
Yeah, so
because that's
that's
such a lifeline, and then it was
yeah.
blocked up for months,
And then
months,
yeah,
months, months.
yeah. Also, funny thing, you remember doing that? How the Suez Canal, like a boat got stuck in it.
I don't remember.
It was like a big boat, like the Suez Canal. It's like one of the major canals that basically connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Indian Ocean that a lot of ships use to
Yeah,
cut the trap in order not to go around Africa, so that way they can get goods to Europe and then us faster.
yeah.
So during I think it was 2020, a ship. Uh, so like the canal is like this way.
Did it go sideways or
A
whatever?
ship got sideways and stuck there for like a good 2 weeks, I think.
Oh my god.
That happened again, like apparently this week. Except
What?
they were able to get it unstuck faster.
Well, they had practice, I guess.
Yeah, and like that doing that, and like blocking one of the most, if not the most important, actually probably one of the top two most important canals in trading routes in the
Mhm.
entire world. That is gonna f up everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The only other one that's probably as important as that is the Panama Canal,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, yeah.
that basically makes it so that we don't have to go all the way from, say, Seattle all the way down to Washington, or all the way down to the tip of South America, then all the way up to where we're trying to go. You can just cut through Panama and then go down to Brazil or over to Europe or whatever.
It's just a lifeline route. Like those
Yeah.
two routes are like an
If
artery.
anything happens to those, everybody in the world is effed.
Yeah.
We
I
are
mean,
like,
they're obviously very significant to our trade.
yeah. Then it just makes the time like in half.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a straight shot. It's probably faster than half.
Mm-hmm. But let's see. Anything else you can add? Because honestly, like I'm honestly surprised by how long some of the recessions have been apart. Because most of them are like 10 years. Some of them are like 3 years, 4 years, 1 year.
Hmm.
Honestly,
I mean, the only thing I can think of is just that, like how we're in it now, right?
yeah,
But how quick that we came out, the that steep decline
Like,
and from COVID, because when people think about different things when it comes to recession, like really what you look at is GDP and stuff like that. But when I hear recession, I think the market, the stock markets and everything, and what's going to happen there. And it's just like how quick we came in and then back out after that huge dip from start of COVID in a couple months and just gone.
see, one of the things they're attributing to the fast recovery of COVID is, at least from what I'm reading, is online shopping. Which, yeah, you go back to 2007, online shopping was a thing, but almost nobody really did it.
Yeah.
Now it's like one of the most pinnacle things out there.
Yeah.
That and like how we printed money and a lot of places at zero interest and all that. That kind of helped.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just the spur spending because that's ultimately what it needs is,
Now,
spending and we come up and out.
here's the thing: would you do you think we could kind of consider the COVID recession and this one to be basically, in a way, the same recession, kind of, or like maybe in the future they'll just kind of all connect this as one recession, except because it's kind of like all of it is kind of stemming from one point, and that's COVID to an extent.
I mean, yeah, I, to me, I think,
You,
to,
you understand what I'm trying to say?
yeah, yeah, to me, they stem from the same source. Like we came in and came out, like on an equities market perspective, like so fast. But then the shock wave, like a tidal wave, you have the first wave come, but the second wave's bigger. And not saying that this next thing is gonna be bigger or not. Nobody knows the answer to that. But I'm just saying, like we went in and went out, like, oh, hey, we're good, and then it's like, hey, we got a little stuff going on the back end, and then now here comes where we're at now, and inflation is
We kind
coming
of
in,
yeah.
getting it more expensive on items and stuff, and that's kind of like the groundwater from the tsunami kind of coming over, getting everything a little wet. It's up a little higher than we planned for. That's
Yeah.
kind of way I see this.
Yeah, it's like also we kind of maybe counted our chickens before they hatched.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, obviously want everything to go up and be green,
You
but
know what's one thing that sucks that I saw somebody mention on TikTok? Then I was like, that kind of sucks.
mm,
Our generation is we don't mean to do this in a bad way or anything, and probably we never thought of it until somebody pointed it out to us. But we're kind of hoping for this recession to get to the point to where people are getting kicked out and end up on the streets, so that way we can buy houses.
I haven't seen that, but that's a very good point.
I'm like,
Bec-
I was like, yo, it's like, okay, I didn't think about that. You're right. That's kind of messed up. And it kind of sucks that our generation is in the situation. We're waiting for that to happen for our chance to become homeowners.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I understand that. Like we can afford technically on paper to buy a house down here, but Jesus, in Austin, the price of real estate there. I mean, how much the monthly payment's going to be? I'm not comfortable putting that high of a percentage of my money, and neither is Victoria
Yeah.
towards the mortgage payment because it's just for buying a house nearby how expensive that is. We're gonna have to drive a little farther to get to where we want to go to get a house at a more reasonable price, unless people start getting kicked out of their homes, or whatever, But ideally, I mean, that's not going to happen, especially not in this kind of area. I don't see that thing to me. I don't see that as a future, because we're not giving away loans that are not backed and things like that, like we were this Spark 2008,
Yeah.
and
We're doing the
but
housing crash whenever they
yeah,
were just giving everybody loans.
yeah, exactly. So that's the thing that I think we'll come down a little bit in some prices. We're seeing that already right now
Yeah.
because the supply was so high, people would pay as much as they could to get to a spot, especially like
Mm-hmm.
Austin. There's a
Mm-hmm.
high value of just wanting to be here. And then now we're seeing a little downturn here. I'm seeing price reduction on listings and things like that. And so why is that happening? Well, because it's cooling just a little bit. It's coming down a little bit. And that's again an economic cycle.
Yeah.
It It goes
It's
up,
a living
it
beast.
comes
It's a
down.
like I don't know if your economics teacher told you this in high school. I remember I was there. Uh, the the economy, like the stock market, stuff like that. That's a living creature, basically.
Yeah.
It has patterns and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got patterns. You can make estimates, educated guesses, and like estimate
Hmm.
based on trends and stuff like that, and averages and things. And that's why people working on Wall Street make
Hmm.
the big bucks. They also, they work all the time, but that's kind of their job. They try to estimate and predict things and
Yeah.
know, and they make the right calls. They make the right money.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's all gonna come around eventually. And the thing is, the trend has always been up. It'll come down, then it'll go back up.
Yep.
But that's only if you're in a diversified investment. We've talked about that too many times. We won't stop. It'll be short when we mention it, but now if you invest in the wrong thing, well, it could come down and not come back.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's in a diversified investment, a lot of stuff like in what was I going to say? Not IRA, like ETF or something. S&P 500 diversified trend. It's always up. It has dips, but it goes back up. So we'll get back around.
Yeah. Actually, mine's been down. I think for the past 2 days. I haven't checked it. I didn't check it Friday.
Yeah, I've come down.
Like,
If the market goes down and the average, I go down, and I have a little bit more of a tech focus on one of my things, and so that really shows. And but yeah, we were coming up for like 2 months. I was looking at that, and coming up, we dipped hard like June 17th, and we've been coming up all the way to August 15th, and then since August 15th, which now we're almost a month straight of working our way back down. Well, 15th to the 3rd or 4th. So half a month ish of coming back down. And so it's just another dip. We're still higher up than we were when we hit the low spot. It'll come and go. It could
yeah.
dip harder and go way down further than it was. Just general thing to
Yeah, like
say is
actually, right before
it'll
we
come
end
back.
this, you know what's actually I noticed? I checked out some of like the crazy stocks that like went super high during COVID.
Yeah.
They've kind of went back down to the neutral to like the natural levels before COVID.
Oh yeah, like who?
Like they went like from the peak, they kind of back down to if not the normal before COVID, a little above COVID,
Mm-hmm.
before COVID levels. Like Amazon, like if you hold on, let me. Like
GameStop.
if you look at Amazon, it's like if you look at the 5 years, you saw like they did like wait, was it Amazon or was it another one? I was like, oh yeah, so Amazon, the height during COVID it was like 1 6 like 100 and like 160 170 that
Mm-hmm.
and like they're both pre-COVID levels, but they're not at COVID levels. They're like at 127, like about 120 to 130 range right now.
Oh, and Amazon, speaking of Amazon, they just went through a huge stock split. They get to
Really?
$100 per share. Yeah, they used to be several thousand. I think they did a
Yeah,
10-to-1 stock split.
I think I saw something about that, but and I was gonna jump in on the day, but I forgot to.
Well,
Or like buy some when it happened and all that, because it was gonna be cheaper and all that.
here's the thing, Brandon. When there's a stock split like that, there is no difference in price. The price is this, and then it splits. It's still the
Oh wait,
same what it's doing. There's just cheaper per share.
wait. I think we're talking about two different things, and I have to look up the one I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. An earnings report?
No, not that. But anyway, any closing thoughts? Mine is when we look back at this recession, it's going to be probably the most unique one, the most the oddball out, basically, the one
Yeah.
that doesn't follow all the patterns the other ones did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you mentioned it, I can't wait to run and get up through this because I stand to make some money when this is over.
Mm-hmm.
I missed the other one. I didn't miss this one. So once we run our way up and out of it, it's going to be good.
Hey, now we just gotta wait. Hopefully, a max of 10 years for this to happen again.
Ideally, all I need to do is just get a house bought, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Get the house bought. I don't care what it does. Long term, I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
I just want to get to a spot without craziness and inflation and buy a house.
What can they find us on all that, Blaine?
All right. So you guys can find us at For the Long Haul Podcast on Instagram. You put it up on the screen now.
Oh, my bad. Sorry,
You
I was
used to
looking at
do
something.
that. I don't know. I thought it was going to come up. And then if you want to shoot us an email in for sponsorship information, or you just want to say hi, that's your way of talking to us, it's ftlhpodcast@gmail.com. Just like For the Long Haul, ftlhpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, got to talk about the YouTube. It just came up on the screen. YouTube For the Long Haul Podcast. If you want to see us and our bright, shiny faces, sometimes smiling Brandon, but the rest of us, you want to see us on YouTube, come check us out.
All right, you guys. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
All right. We'll see you later.